Ric Bucher, Fox Sports NBA analyst. Frank Vogel goes to the Suns, Rick.
Yeah.
Initial thoughts?
I understand why they would do it. Obviously, they need improvement on their defense. He's very much a player's coach. I heard you in the previous segment talking about what a nice guy he is. He's a really nice guy. And this team is going to be run by the stars. It's going to be run by Kevin Durant and Devin Booker and potentially Kyrie Irving, as we discussed yesterday. And do I like it? Do I think it's going to get them where they're going to go, where they want to go, win a championship? No, I don't see that. But considering the composition, you have a brand new owner, you are kowtowing to the stars. Frank Vogel is going to make that work. It's the classic. I'm going to give you the exact opposite of what we had. Monty Williams is a demanding coach, by today's standards. And Frank Vogel is not to say he's not demanding, but he's not the least bit confrontational. That was may have been what did Monty in, because he was confrontational with Jay Crowder in terms of this is the way it's going to be. Same with DeAndre Ayton. That's why those personalities didn't mesh. This does give me pause and make me wonder whether they would rethink. And the reason that they hired Frank is because he could cultivate a relationship with DeAndre Ayton, that they are more alike personality-wise, and they may see this as the avenue to getting the best out of DeAndre.
Interesting. I'm sure you saw the video from the Nuggets series where Booker was standing, DeAndre Ayton on the bench, and Booker's like telling him, like, dude, you got to do whatever it was.
Yeah.
And Ayton was basically just like not interested. Chris Paul had to take Booker out of there.
Yes.
And it was just like, maybe the coach can salvage Ayton, but what about the player's relationship with him? Can that be fixed?
I've heard players and talked to players. They don't begrudge who DeAndre is. They know who he is. He's just not a fire starter. And so he's just got a way about him that you have to accept that's who he is and find a way how you can engage him to the best of your ability. Because the talent is there. I mean, you always have different personalities. And let's face it, Kevin Durant is not the most aggressive forward personality. So I can see it working. Look, you're always going to have different personalities on every team, and it's a matter of whether the coach can reach each one of them on their own terms.
We'll get to the finals shortly, Rick, but I got to go to this Ja Morant stuff. Like Adam Silver, I know it was like an unintended bomb to drop, but
yeah,
to say, hey, we uncovered some more stuff. We're not going to talk about it now. We'll just do it after the finals. I mean, the speculation is wild. 50 games? I don't know what we're looking at. He embarrassed the league.
Yeah. Minimum. Well, it's not just that he embarrassed the league. It's that he met with Adam and obviously gave him certain assurances that this won't happen again. And then it did. And Adam's not going to take that lightly. He's not the late, great David Stern, but he's going to draw the line. And my greater concern is whatever underlying issues that Ja may have, those are the ones that need to be addressed. Because I've seen this is the guy I saw go to Salt Lake City to sit next to the bench to support their summer league team in Salt Lake. Now, there are plenty of star players who go to Las Vegas to support their summer league team. I can count on one hand the number of them that go to Salt Lake City to do that. So there's so much about Ja that is contrary to all of these incidents that we've heard, that I think that there has to be more going on here than meets the eye. And I knew from the very start that going down to Florida for a couple of days of counseling and stress management wasn't going to be the answer to this problem. Whatever it is, 50 games, the entire season, whatever it is, I just hope that it is, let's deal with the issue and not just have a punishment and hope that Ja gets it. Like, he's too great a player. He has too much value to the league. He could set such a great example for young players and kids who might find themselves facing the same challenge. This goes back to, I remember Rasheed Wallace and any number of players who come from a certain background, and we can go back and forth whether whether Ja qualifies for that, but they come from a certain background, and they're told, don't forget who you are, which is interpreted as don't forget where you came from.
Yeah.
Don't turn your back on the people, or don't change your behavior, just because you're in the NBA and got money. And the harsh reality is, you're in a different circle now. You have to behave differently. You have to hang out with different people. You have to conduct yourself in a different way because you're in the NBA. But that, for guys who want to be true to themselves, that's a really difficult juxtaposition to be in.
I think that's the dumbest thing ever. This idea that, hey, don't forget where you came from, man. That's stupid. But you would agree, right?
But the flip side of it is you're being introduced to all these brand new people from a culture that you are not familiar with.
That's fair.
And you trust these people. And how many players have we seen who've been screwed over by
financial advisors,
people who
100%.
just want to take advantage of them?
Well, what do you think? Ja's getting screwed over by his friends. Hey, I'm going to get on social media, and then his friend goes live where Ja's hanging out with a gun.
No.
You're supposed to grow up and mature, right? Are you not?
For sure.
Yeah.
But when you hand somebody in their early 20s, I mean, J-Mac.
I was a mess, and I didn't have $30 million.
And me too. Like, you handed me $200 million and all of the fame that the NBA brings at age 22, and I didn't grow up like, middle class, lower middle class, but like I had good role models growing up. I still, chances are, I would have made the papers or the headlines.
Good thing there was no social media when we were younger,
thank
right?
goodness.
Yes, I'm sure everybody
Thank
says it.
goodness I didn't make my $200 million then.
Let's go to the finals. I don't know. Can I say it was a bloodbath last night? I mean, it was never close, Rick. Like, that game was – I never got a sense Miami had a chance. I don't know. I would love to make a case that the extra day off before – they get an extra Friday and Saturday off for before Game 2.
Right.
Can Jimmy Butler conjure up a 42-point game to salvage this series? Because Denver just looks so confident, man.
Yeah, but look, I said it going in, and I was kind and said I thought that Denver would win in 5. I'm still sticking with that, but after watching last night, all the things that I thought were going to come true, they just have all the things that Boston did not. You saw that, like the zone, they just sliced and diced that.
Yeah.
Miami didn't try it until Jokic was off the floor. Christian Brown and Jeff Green got into the middle of the zone. They got the ball there. They kicked it back out to threes. They did enough. And then they even tried it against Jokic, and he showed you exactly how he can slice and dice it. So I would say that what I would expect, and this is now you're going to extremes, either play Kyle Lowry on Jokic and single cover him and say, Jokic, go ahead, and we're going to let you try to beat it. We're going to stay home on everybody else. We're going to put Bam Adebayo on Aaron Gordon, because that was, Gabe Vincent on Aaron Gordon. That just set the tone. But they're going to have to do something extraordinary. Or you start Cody Zeller on Jokic, and you move Bam over. But I just. It's going to take something very creative, and even that I'm not sure is going to work.
It's going to take like an act of God for Miami. No. In all seriousness, Heat fans are trying to sell me on social media. Hey, Highsmith was really good. They unlocked something with Highsmith. Maybe he's kind of like a fire hydrant.
I think that was a joke. I really think that was a joke.
I would hope it would be.
I think that was a play off of the Rui Hachimura.
Yeah,
remember?
Maybe, yes.
At the end, you know what? The Lakers found something. Lakers fans legitimately thought they had. In fact, not even Lakers fans. I think I heard people on other networks, not this one. They were talking about how the Rui thing was, Rui was the answer to Nikola Jokic. Yeah. I can't even say it without laughing.
Yeah. So the other thing Miami fans are hanging their hat on, Caleb Martin, Duncan Robinson, Max Strus, the undrafted stars.
Yeah.
2 for 23 shooting. That's not going to happen again, Rick. All they have to do is hit like 40%, and this is a game. Your counter?
Yeah, but here's the problem. You're facing first of all, just because of the composition of the Nuggets and the length and the size that they have, their defensive players can press up on the perimeter in a way that Boston couldn't or didn't. And so they weren't missing just because they weren't they weren't all wide open. They were far more contested than the shots that they were getting against Boston because for any number of reasons. Part of it being that the zone wasn't working and they weren't getting the same transition looks on missed shots. But this is also the danger when we were ready to anoint Caleb Martin as being on the level of Jimmy Butler,
well,
right?
He's the next Steph Curry, right? Or Klay Thompson,
I
one
mean,
of those guys. Yeah.
you just like slow down when a guy has a great series against a particular opponent, or even a couple of series. I mean, he's been good, and he's certainly made himself a lot of money, but there is the test of facing different opponents, different challenges that a player must pass before you can anoint them being at a certain level. And then, and then there's just Jimmy, or the fact that they didn't get to the free throw line and that Jimmy didn't get to the free throw line.
8 fouls called on Denver. Somebody speculating, again, just an NBA guy speculating. Time for the NBA to call in Scott Foster. Get the cooler in there. Get some free throws for the Heat.
Yeah, but if you watch the game, and I watched the game with my daughter. She's a huge Jimmy Butler and Jimmy Butler before he blew up just now. Always a Jimmy Butler fan, and a Miami Heat fan. And she goes like 2 free throws. I said, "Do you remember any calls where you said, oh, that was a foul?" The Miami Heat weren't attacking the rim. Gabe Vincent said it at the end of the first quarter. Like, we need to put pressure on the rim. But when you're playing against guys that are equally athletic and bigger and longer, good luck getting to the rim and getting a shot.
Porter had a couple nice blocks. I think Caleb Martin beat him to the hoop, and that was a layup against Boston. And Porter just smacked it against the backboard. You're like, wow.
It is. Again, it's why I felt that the Denver Nuggets not only were massively underrated going into these playoffs and certainly going into the last series and into this one, but we're looking at potentially the next dynasty, if you will, because they're young, they're athletic, they got the right coach, the chemistry is good, and Nikola Jokic ain't going anywhere.
Yeah, you look at the contracts, and it's like Murray's locked in, Gordon's locked in. The only guy they could lose is Bruce Brown, who I like a lot. I think he's a very good player, knows his role. But Christian Brown's evolving. Jeff Green is a veteran. Like, they don't have a weakness. 13-3 in the playoffs, and when they get up by double digits, they're 11-0. So they know how to just choke you out. Like, you don't come back against this team.
You know what this is going to do is I think it's going to bring back 7-foot, 250-pound centers on every roster. There's going to be a spot for them now. Because what have we seen with Jokic? Like, how do you match up with the Miami Heat? Don't have anybody. The Golden State Warriors don't have anybody. You can make the case that even with Anthony Davis, like the Lakers, who are they turning to? Teams just haven't equipped their rosters with plenty of 7-footers that are 220, 230 pounds.
And can chew gum at the same time and run.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah.
Yeah. But that's Anthony Davis. If you're going to defend Nikola Jokic or Joel Embiid, you're going to need somebody who's is athletic, but is going to need a little more or has a little more heft. So I think what we could see with Jokic to a great extent and Embiid to a lesser extent is once more, this is like the Draymond Green effect. Right? You had a power forward who was skilled and could defend bigger players and then get out on the break. Now you're going to need, I think you're going to see rosters trying to find that 7-foot guy that can defend the Jokic's and Embiid's for the teams that are interested in playing for a title.
Are there any more Plumlee brothers out there that we don't know about?
I guess we'll find out.
Zeller's big.
Jokic's brothers may get a job. Yeah.
So last one, I got to ask about this Nick Nurse situation. So
yes,
Nick Nurse, disciplinarian, holds players accountable. Yeah. Stresses defense.
Yes.
It's like those are things that James Harden does not click with and vibe with, as the young kids would say out there. I'm sure you saw the press conference. It was a little contentious. It didn't sound like Harden's like, we need James Harden back here. He's like, I want James Harden back. Sure. Yeah, I'll take him. Yeah,
because one, it's not up to him. 2, he's walking into a situation where...
Wait a minute. What do you mean it's not up? You don't think he could just say, hey, James, I'm here now. I want you. You're my guy. Please stay. And then Daryl Morey ponies up. Like, no, this was not a love letter.
The relationship between James Harden and Daryl Morey has been going on for years, and that will be stronger than anything that Nick Nurse is ever able to accomplish. I will say, if there's anybody, and again, I understand the hiring here, I don't think he's as harsh. He's not Scott Skiles. He's not Tom Thibodeau, right?
Wow, look at those references.
This is the guy who made it work with Kyle Lowry and Kawhi Leonard and like
OG Anunoby.
A number of different guys, and I love the way he handled the Raptors this past year. Like, I looked at them and I thought they would have a better record than they did, but he got everything that he could out of them. They didn't have a closer. That's what they needed. And the fact that James is or can be, I think that Nick will appreciate that. My bottom line is, I think Nick has the ability to reach different guys in different ways.
Do you think?
And if Daryl decides that James decides that he wants to stay, there's a part of me that thinks that this is all a smokescreen
To get money, right?
Not only to get money, but to keep the NBA off of Philadelphia's back. Because if you remember, James signed a team-friendly deal for this year.
Oh,
he could have demanded
so they
more.
Could afford,
so they got PJ Tucker.
PJ, there you go.
Yes.
Thank you.
So that's cap. If James was promised, we're going to take care of you down the line, that's cap circumvention. And the league was aware of it. So all this innuendo of he's going to go someplace else and he doesn't know and I want my freedom. And you know what? I'm not sold that it's not just a cover so that when he re-signs with Philadelphia, the NBA doesn't come down on him.
That's good. I like that. Now, I will say Harden notoriously likes to stay out at night and party.
Yes.
Fred VanVleet, who was his guy, Nick Nurse's guy in Toronto, also eligible to be moved. Like, do you think Nick Nurse would rather have James Harden or Fred VanVleet?
Oh, that's a great question. I don't know because I
said
don't.
Nurse, not Morey, because we know who Morey would rather have. Harden, that's his guy.
Yes. That's a great question. I would think VanVleet just because he's got an established relationship with him.
You've been to Philly a lot. I lived outside of Philly. Fred VanVleet is more Philadelphia than James Harden will ever be.
I would agree with that.
Yeah, and like
I'm a big Fred VanVleet fan.
Yeah, bullish on him. I wanted the Lakers to go after him, but then
he is. I mean, his size and his ability to get his shot. He's an overachiever in what he's been.
Give me an overachiever all day over an underachiever in the postseason. Like
I'm
Harden,
with you.
Right?
But if you ask me who can score more easily with the game on the line, I'm going to give you James Harden 10 out of 10 times. I love what VanVleet has made himself into. But if you're giving me one or the other to close a game, it's not a hard choice.
Yeah. I'm going to ask, where was Harden in Game 6 and 7 in that Philly-Boston series?
I'm not responsible for what he does. I'm just telling what he could do.
I know. Listen, he won 2 games for them in the series. Literally in the final,
yeah.
What, 30 seconds?
He showed you in Game 1 what he's capable of. When you've experienced that, boy, it's awfully hard to give up to that. Now, I mean, you're constantly going to go, can I just get one more? If he can give you 2 and then Embiid can win you a game. I don't know. Did Embiid win any games for them in that series? Yeah.
Oh, he was hurt again. Yeah. The conditioning. Rick, one of my favorite videos that went around during the postseason against the Nets was Joel Embiid falling down. And he just kept hitting the deck. Like every other possession, he's just falling down, barely getting touched. Do you think that kind of stuff is going to work with Nick Nurse? Come on, man. I'm just telling you.
Well, we see that across the league. It's one of my great issues is that guys fall down, and if they don't get the call, they stay down. It's 5-on-4 going the other way. That part of the game, Jeff Van Gundy is suggesting all these changes. That's what I want to change.
I didn't even
Let's stop every time we shoot the ball, every time we go anywhere, we're gonna fall down hoping to get a call. That's what I want eliminated. That's my wish.
What was Van Gundy out on halftime or something like that? I saw something about or resetting the fouls.
Yes, 5 minutes for halftime max. And don't shoot free throws until the last 4 minutes. Just give the points when there's a foul.
What is the halftime thing about? I don't know.
I think it's just to keep it moving.
Oh, yeah. Guys who load manage want to take off games back-to-back. Now you're giving shrinking halftime?
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe he's trying to run LeBron out of the league because between getting rid of halftime and no free throws, like That was part of the Lakers' secret. Like, we got to get to the free throw line.
Yes.
Everybody can rest. Let's score from there. We don't want to go up and down. That's part of what Denver did to run them out of the series.
All right, Ric Bucher, Fox Sports NBA analyst.